So your good cause is secret?
Essentially, Judge. Well,
Okay, we've got a new document to talk about. It's a laboratory report in the case of Stephan Sterns. It's from bedroom number 4, and I just received it today from Florida. Let's talk about Stephan Sterns and his lawyer losing big time their bid to keep delaying his trials. We're going to have a big 3-hour motion suppressions hearing to watch tomorrow. But let's talk about today, Earth Day, my birthday, by the way. Isn't it funny how Stephan Sterns' Judge Keith Karsten, he keeps calling him Stephen. I called him Stephen the other video, but every single time in court, we'll watch the court hearing coming up. It was pretty short today, but he keeps calling him Stephen, and it kind of makes me laugh. But most of all, I love how this judge understands the maxim that justice delayed is justice denied. So he is helping move along this process for Madeline Sophia Soto to get her justice against this man who harmed her for so many years, as is alleged in these 2 cases. There's the CSAM case, there's the murder case, and the judge isn't falling for any tricks that the defense tried to pull today. I mean, I don't know if it's a trick. I shouldn't call it that, but it was weird. It was mysterious. Even the judge was like, wait a minute, it's a secret, and you want me to rule on this and delay this hearing for some secret good cause that you can't even tell me? So his lawyer and Stephan lost big time in court today. We're going to talk about that hearing win for the prosecution and this new bedroom number 4 laboratory report I received today. At first I read it wrong and my heart just sank, but then I kind of correctly read it, and then it leaves us even with more questions. We'll get to that at the end. We know bedroom number 4 was that famous bedroom that Jennifer sent her 13-year-old daughter, Maddie Soto, off to sleep with Stephan Sterns on Sunday night. Sunday, the night before she disappeared. She disappeared on Monday, February 26th. Bedroom number 4 is very important, and any evidence that detectives, investigators can glean from that bedroom will be very important. So more on that report later. It was just a great birthday present for me when I was watching Stephan Sterns appearing in court today, April 22nd, 2025, 11:15. Thank God for these different entities that stream it. What is it? WKMG Orlando, Fox Orlando, whichever it's called. Thank God they're in the courtroom, they're streaming it, and thank the Lord that Stephan Sterns' lawyers' attempts of trying to get the press, the media, kicked out of these pre-trial hearings, it did not fly. So I saw Stephan Sterns in there. His hair was all cut off, really short. I wouldn't necessarily say his pride and joy, but he had a lot of hair. It didn't look like he was really losing his hair or anything for like a 38-year-old man. Oh, and I just realized his birthday is in 3 days. So he'll be 39, April 25th. I always remember his birthday because I'm so into this case, but I also remember it because it was his PIN number for his phone. Remember when he said 4/25/86? That's his birthday. So wow, this is a wonderful birthday present for me. I literally raised my hands and said hallelujah when that judge, I could tell with the judge, the way he was ruling and speaking, he was about to say that wonderful word denied, and he did. He's like, have your witnesses ready. This motions hearing is going on for tomorrow. No wonder they kept it on the docket. It's going to be allotted 3 hours. So Eastern time from like 2 to 5 p.m. we'll get to watch this long motions hearing, and maybe we'll get some more insight into what maybe the defense lawyer was talking about. Anyway, Stephan looked pretty dejected when he walked away in his body language as he left the courtroom today. And might I say, I might mention, and this is not shaming anyone, but Stephan doesn't look like the starving refugee he kind of makes himself out to be when he was speaking with his parents. On those jail phone calls, at least last year, you know how we went over it. I'm so sunken in, my cheekbones could cut someone. I'm really losing weight, Mom and Dad. But when they show up in court, just like Letitia Stout in Colorado, she did this too. She pretended on her jail calls, oh, I'm barely eating anything. And then when they show up in court, you're like, yeah, you look like you're eating enough to me. But I don't know why. I kind of know why his hair is cut that way. I mean, his hair probably was growing longer. He had a lot of hair, despite always wearing those hats. He had a lot of hair. And I'm like, well, Paula, it's not Supercuts. It's not some fancy place in jail where he's going to get a nice little haircut. Whatever they do to cut it off or however, I'm sure it's just like, got a haircut. His attorney's efforts failed brilliantly. She cannot delay the big 3-hour motions hearing. It's set for tomorrow, April 23rd at 2 p.m. I'm like, thank you, Judge. Because remember his other attorney, Rebecca? She was initially saying, oh, these trials, they could go into 2027. I mean, it's 2025. She's talking 2 years later. The judge is not standing for this. And I don't blame him. He's like, you've had this case basically since last year, more than a year ago, so it's time to go. And the state was like, look, we don't even have any witnesses for this CSAM case, and we haven't gotten discovery and all this stuff. Now, remember what they're trying to do tomorrow. The defense is trying to suppress all that nasty work found on Stephan's Google account. Those 1,700 photos and videos of Maddie. Now, they're trying to do this via 3 motions. There was a motion to suppress evidence obtained from a Google search warrant, from so-called unlawful searches of his cell phone, and unlawful seizure of his cell phone. So I'm wondering tomorrow, will they go all over, Detective Myra Tagler's interviews? I hope with Stephan. I hope we can hear it. I hope it's great. It'll probably sound better than the Karen Reed trial. Well, at least when the state gets up there with Karen Reed, it was really hard to hear. You just hear a fan and all that. When the defense gets up there, it's better hearing him. But anyway, back to Stephan Sterns. I hope we get to hear maybe even new evidence, or they'll probably go over all the times Stephan indeed gave his consent, thought he was smarter than your average bear, resetting his phone twice, not knowing it would sync back up with Google, probably going down near his parents' house in Northport, probably trying to hit his Google account that way, or even using Jennifer's phone, or whatever he was probably in a panic trying to do. I don't know if he ever used Jennifer's phone. I feel like there was an interview with Jennifer saying she was sitting with Stephan and he was freaking out trying to do something on his phone. I feel like she said that. But who knows? He was probably freaking out trying to do whatever to get rid of evidence, and it didn't work. And no wonder the judge struck this defense attorney down. Stephan's lawyer was really vague. I mean, the judge mentioned that about this so-called confidential information she had obtained. I mean, she wouldn't even do a sidebar. I don't know if it would have been appropriate. I'm not a lawyer, but she wouldn't. I'm like, can she go up there and whisper it to the judge what she's talking about? But I guess that wouldn't have been appropriate. She wanted time to see whatever this confidential information is, if it will really pan out or if it will benefit his defense. And this is where she took it too far, too. She would not even reveal the secret info, and she told the judge she would not even reveal it in an ex parte hearing. An ex parte hearing is a court proceeding where only one side of a legal matter is present, usually in an emergency situation without the other party being notified or present. The term ex parte means from one side in Latin. So these hearings are often used when there's a need for an immediate action to prevent harm or protect assets. They're typically temporary, requiring a later full hearing with all parties present. So the judge's hands were tied. Whatever this information is she has, and she's saying it's not a delay tactic, it's good faith, it might impact the way I present things. I have no idea what this confidential info is. Is it from the phone company? Is it something else, related to these motions to suppress and the way she would present whatever she's going to present tomorrow? She can't even have a simple hearing off to the side to tell the judge about it. She can't even tell him anyway so he can decide for himself, oh, that is relevant enough to give you time to delay. His hands were tied, and the state reiterated just how much time the defense has had, so I'm grateful this hearing marches on towards justice for Maddie. If this judge, if he keeps with these great decisions, we actually might see the CSAM trial starting May 5th, or the jury selection at least. I think I've been not ignoring the trial dates, of course. I check the docket almost every day, but I've been putting in the back of my mind, oh, the CSAM probably won't start in May, delay. Just like Stephan even talked about with his parents. I think he mentioned somewhere in those jail calls, basically, the tactic of defense is delay. delay. Kind of like with, oh, the death penalty, if they ever do find you guilty and you get that, it's okay. You know, Deb was saying the lawyer says it can take a long time. And that's true with the death penalties. When executions actually happen, I mean, there's usually a stay of execution. There's this, there might be protests in different cases. It could take 25 years. But we don't want this trial to take 25 years. So let's watch this short hearing so you can hear for yourself all the defense attorneys. Hopefully you can hear it. Some people on different channels claim they couldn't hear it. I could hear it, but let's watch them talk about what happened during this hearing. You'll see the judge deny it. You'll see Stephan, how he looks dejected when he walks off and his whole mannerisms. You generally only see the back of him and the back of his head. You'll see both attorneys and their arguments, and you'll see the judge's ruling, and then we will get to this new laboratory report about bedroom number 4.
2 appearances for the record, please.
Danielle Pennell and William J. for the state.
Alicia Smith and Alice Johnson on behalf of Mrs. Stephan Sterns.
Thank you. All right, the court has set this hearing on the defense's motion to continue the suppression hearing, which is currently set for tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Defense, do you wish to present argument with respect to your motion?
Yes, Judge, and defense has case law provided a copy to the state already. You want me to give you a moment to read, Judge, or you want me to start?
Just a moment. Do these highlight the McKay factors?
Essentially, Judge, they all essentially stand for the same
I'm
problem.
familiar with the McKay factors. Thank you.
And the cases that I provided to the court are Botham v. State, 272 Southern 3rd 876, a 50 CA case from 2019, Turner v. State, 311 Southern 3rd 185, a second DCA case from 2020, McKay versus State, first DCA, 504 Southern 2nd 1280 from 1986, and unpublished opinion that only has a Westlaw site so far, Surratt versus State, 2025 Westlaw 1119091 from last week from April of 2025. Trocola versus State, 867 Southern 2nd 129, 50 CA from 2004. And Singer versus State, 286 Southern 3rd 343, a 50 CA from 2019. Essentially, Judge, defense is moving to continue the motion to suppress the set for the tomorrow afternoon. And looking at the Bofo case, it essentially says that in moving for a continuance, defense just has to show that we haven't had a reasonable time to investigate or litigate the case, and that is balanced against the judicial economy and judicial efficiency in the court managing their documents, turning to the McKay factors, as well as the factors that are listed in, I believe, Turner, that looks to a defense suffering an injustice by failing to grant the continuance, as well as if the delay was attributable to the defense or if it was unforeseen. Defense would argue that the intention is not to delay the court, isn't to be derelict in our duties. Defense is moving for this continuance based off of, as the court is aware, there is the second case, and preparing for the motion, as well as in preparing the other case for trial. Defense is coming to information that at this time the defense is in a position to be able to divulge to the court or in open court.
So your good cause is secret?
Essentially, Judge. Well, I can't in good faith at this time, being that it's still being explored. I don't know which way it's going to go, if it's going to be something that's going to pan out in favor of defense or be able to be something to be utilized in this case. As the court is aware, a death notice has been filed in the second case, and while I'm not arguing specifically as to that case, in that death notice, this case is used as one of the aggravating factors. So a conviction on this case would be one of the aggravating factors the state would potentially be seeking in the death notice in terms of the homicide case. Defense would argue that this information has come to light recently, and we're still in the process of working through it and figuring out if it's something that would or wouldn't be available in this case. If the defense were to go forward with the motion to suppress at this point, potentially would be relitigated depending on the court's ruling on that. In terms of just regular pretrial in the case, we would need to continue the regular pretrial even aside from the motion to suppress hearing, because we did an evidence viewing. We weren't able to complete the evidence viewing, and the second part of that evidence viewing is scheduled for June 11th with the state in this case. So defense essentially is moving to continue balancing the Botham factors as well as the McKay factors. Defense believes that this isn't a unreasonable request on the court in filing a motion and getting this set for a hearing, and still doing their due diligence in terms of preparing the case otherwise for trial and for the motion to suppress in and of itself.
All right. So the McKay factors, so we're on the same page, deal with a request to continue the trial. The other factors that you mentioned deal with a request to continue either a trial or a substantive hearing for absence of a critical witness. State response?
Yes, Your Honor. The state has not been in receipt of any witness list or any defense discovery in this case. The defendant in this case was arrested on February 29th of 2024. The public defender's office was appointed the next day at initial appearances. The discovery process started after the information was filed on March 11th of 2024. The state responded to the defense's demand for discovery on March 20th, 2024, and discovery has been ongoing. The motions to suppress that are currently set for hearing tomorrow were filed by the defense on February 6th of 2025. There was a motion to close the courtroom on February 28th of 2025. A notice of hearing for the closure of the courtroom was filed. The defense's motion to close the courtroom on March 27th of 2025. The defense filed a notice of hearing for these motions to suppress. So these have been pending hearings since March 27th of 2025. The defense filed the motions to continue. The defense waited approximately almost 2 months, 2.5 months to request hearing time. The hearing has been set. The state filed responses to the defendant's motions to suppress on April 8th of 2025. And then I was contacted by defense. We had a discussion about their request to continue these hearings on April 10th, and a written motion to continue was filed on April 14th of 2025. The written motion filed by defense, the state's position is vague. It is unclear whether this information is necessary for a defense, is necessary for the hearing. The motion simply states that it may affect the presentation of evidence. The state has subpoenaed witnesses. We have a significant amount of hearing time scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. The state's prepared to proceed on the motions and is objecting to the motion to continue the suppression hearings.
Thank you. Any additional argument from the defense?
Yes, Judge. Defense would say that this is necessary for the defense, even if the court were to ask ex parte in terms of, to have ex parte hearing in terms of the basis for the motion. I don't believe at this point defense will be able to disclose that information even to the court, even if an ex parte hearing were requested and or granted. It's defense's position that this information is necessary to be explored in terms of the presentation of the evidence or presentation of the case, because it's defense's position that at this time the information is confidential, which is why a witness list hasn't been disclosed, discovery exhibits haven't been disclosed in regards to it, because it's still being looked to and explored. As the state indicated, discovery is ongoing, and as discovery has continued to be ongoing, so has defense's preparation of the case, reviewing of the motions, filing of the motions, preparation of the motion, as well as in preparing this case otherwise for trial alongside the homicide case. So it's defense's position that the granting of the continuance in this case would not be an undue burden on the court. I understand the state having subpoenaed witnesses. The day that I found out about the information was the same day we actually happened to have depositions, so I spoke with the state in person about it, and then sent her an email in regards to her position, and then from there, filed the motion to continue. And then we got hearing times while I was in trial with Your Honor as another case, and I filed a notice of hearing as to that. Defense has been preparing, defense is preparing, and it's defense's position that denial of the motion to continue in this case would be an abuse of discretion, and we'd be asking the court to grant the request to continue.
Thanks. Well, the court's in a difficult position evaluating the McKay factors. In this case, the court's going to find that there's been significant time to prepare for these hearings. This case initiated in February of 2024. Motion was filed almost a year later. The matter was set for a hearing in March. 13 months. I'll note that this is on 24 CF 632. While the two cases are related, this does not deal with the homicide case. The court has an inability to make a determination as to the likelihood of prejudice from the denial. The defense apparently is in possession of some information, the nature of that information, the timing of when it was received, whether the defendant played any role in shortening the preparation time. The availability of that discovery is unknown to the court because the defense is unwilling at this point to share any information with the court, even on an ex parte basis, as to this information. Counsel that has been appointed to this case has the requisite skill and experience to try this type of case. Both are either board certified criminal trial experts or in the process of becoming are being certified as a criminal trial expert. The court cannot, from the information presented, make a finding of good cause, and while the defense argues it will be prejudicial, there's been nothing advanced to the court to support that argument. So the defense's motion to continue the motion to suppress tomorrow, scheduled for 2 p.m., is denied. And I'll ask the state to please have their witnesses present and ready to go.
No problem.
Thank you. Matter set for 3 hours tomorrow at 2 p.m. That will conclude our hearing.
All right, there we go. A wonderful win for the prosecution today. I celebrate every little victory, and I'm loving this judge. I love judges who take control of their courtrooms. They use common sense. They're fair, fair and impartial, but still they have to rule in the best interest of justice and truth. So in the meantime, in the first-degree capital murder case, this notice of supplemental discovery hit the court dockets 5 days ago, April 16th, 2025. As soon as I saw it, as is my habit lately, 5 days ago, I put in a FOIA request, and I'm like, look, for this case, give me this, whatever it is. I requested it. I got it this morning. It's a laboratory report. And I also see newly on the docket, just popped up today, felony court minutes. So it'll be some kind of minutes from one of these hearings, maybe today. Order, motion to continue, suppression hearing held. So that was held today. And it was big denial. Defendant present with counsel. Yes, he was there with his lawyer. He's showing up in court these days. Arguments made by both parties. Court cannot find good cause based on the info presented to grant the motion. The motion's denied, and the motion to suppress the hearing tomorrow remains as set. So that was so great. So I requested all that too. I got this laboratory report. It's dated April 14th, 2025 from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So it was sent to Interim Chief Robert Enzueto of the Kissimmee Police Department. It's at the attention of Mark Morris. We've heard him quite a bit in this case, and the subject is Stephan M. Sterns. That is Stephan Michael Sterns. Under the offenses, it says death, investigation, sexual assault, Osceola County, and it lists February 25th, 2024. So it's listing Sunday, February 25th as the offense date. And I don't know if they're doing that because they have actual knowledge that Maddie lost her life at the hands of Stephan that Sunday night. We'll see. So this report references evidence submitted to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement on April 24th, 2024 by Rita Tavares. This report contains conclusions, opinions, and or interpretations made by the author. So the evidence. Item number 16 is a white flat sheet from the closet in bedroom 4. Now this one was up in the closet somewhere. Remember in one interview, if I can find it, they were really asking Jennifer about, what sheets were on the bed up there? You were planning for Stephan to come visit, they were asking logical questions. Like when you have a guest come visit, you normally go in there and you make sure the sheets are all clean and set up. And she was kind of like, oh, I don't know this, I don't know that. And maybe there's a white comforter with this design on it in the closet. And, they're like, did you set up sheets for Stephan up there? You knew he was coming to visit. And she just hems and haws so much in those interviews. It's hard to know what was what. So item number 16 is some white flat sheet up in the closet in bedroom number 4. However, item number 17 was a white flat sheet from the bed in bedroom number 4. Item number 18 was a white pillowcase from the bed in bedroom number 4. Item number 19, a white fitted sheet from the bed in bedroom number 4. So the results from items 17, 18, and 19, these are the flat sheet, the pillowcase, the fitted sheet that were literally on the bed in bedroom number 4. It says possible hairs were observed on items 17, 18, and 19, but they were not removed or examined. Maybe that makes sense because it's like, well, they know Maddie was in there and Stephan was in there, whether it was his hair, her hair, combination of the two. I don't know if it would have told them anything, at least not in this regard, in this specific area. But it says using a color change test. Using a color change test, items 17, 18, and 19 failed to give chemical indications for the presence of semen. Now, when I was flying through this, reading it quickly this morning, at first I thought items 17, 18, and 19 gave chemical reactions for the presence of semen. And I was like, oh my goodness, oh, how gross. Just thinking of Stephan up there with this young 13-year-old. Anyway, but it failed to give chemical indications for the presence of semen. Now, they did not perform an STR DNA analysis on these 17, 18, and 19 items. And item 16 was not examined. Maybe it was not examined because it's the flat sheet that was up in the bedroom closet. First, I was thinking, oh my goodness, it's good. They didn't give any chemical indication for the presence of semen. Did nothing happen that night, or did he not, have an emission? Was he not abusing her that night? I mean, we know the whole situation is abusive, but you know what I mean. But then part of me remembered when one of the roommates spoke about how weird it was that Stephan on Monday was just doing laundry. Now, I don't know if we ever got details on what laundry he was doing. We can look through the crime scene photos and the photos they took after. We see laundry baskets near the washer dryer. I don't know if we know what's in them. Did Stephan doing whatever he did, and taking Maddie out of the house and laying her body out there on Hickory Tree and then coming back in the afternoon or whenever he was observed doing laundry, did he strip the sheets off of the bed and the pillowcase, the flat sheet, the fitted sheet, wash them? I don't know if there was a mattress pad on there too, maybe not. And did they test the mattress, because if he's stripping the sheets and washing them, trying to get rid of any evidence, did he put on fresh clean sheets like these white flat sheet and pillowcase and fitted sheet? Were they clean? And is that why there were no chemical indications for the presence of semen? Could be. Or, did they find blood? What did they find, if anything? So it gives us an indication potentially of something, but then that's why I say it leaves more questions, because he did laundry. Were those the sheets? And again, item 16 was not examined. So they have who you can give questions to for the person, for Mark Morris, of course, to contact. So it makes you wonder. Every little bit of evidence we get paints more of a picture. I hope we get a lot more evidence tomorrow in this long motions hearing to know what the heck was going on. His defense attorneys better be ready, because this judge is not playing. I love it. I love when, if they can help it, based on the circumstances, judges don't allow, continuance after continuance, resetting until like 3 years or 4, 5, 6, 7 years after the crime, it finally goes to trial, and you're like, wait, I gotta remember the facts of this case. I'm so glad the perpetrator, Stephan Sterns, was arrested so early, February 28th, 2024. I'm grateful Maddie's body was found at least March 1st. In some cases, the person is just missing or just never found. I mean, that's just horrific. But the more of these laboratory reports we'll get, we'll see them interpreted in court. We'll draw our own conclusions, and with the CSAM case, of course, some evidence we don't ever want to see ever, but we want to know, for example, what was Stephan washing? Don't suppress the evidence found on his phone or his Google accounts or anything, because then they've got him dead to rights. I mean, just like his dad said, murder charge aside, you're pretty much effed on the other one. I mean, his dad called it. He's practical. He knows. He was a lawman. If only briefly, he understands the court system. He understands the law. And so I don't want Stephan to be able to worm and squirm and wiggle his way out of this and blame other people. And there is so much. And Stephan, yes, in his interview, with that seriously long interview where we did see him attempt to wiggle his way out of it. Like True Crime with Strategic Eyes recently discussed, and please go watch his video to hear his own words. That's why I don't like to, misquote people. But it was telling. I always found it telling. That portion of Stephan Sterns' interview, the long one, the only video interview we have of him basically, in the Orange County room, detectives already knew what was on his phone. But prior to that, Stephan did start wiggling around like, well, Maddie did something with a phone when she was younger, but the report says she wasn't scolded for it. Trying to hear Stephan in the interview, it almost sounded like she was scolded for it, but he's like, but she was young, she didn't know. I always looked at that personally as Stephan trying to take the blame off of himself. He was trying to be proactive, at the same time offer all this subterfuge. It's almost like he was trying to say, within his own mind, okay, investigators, if you guys find anything weird, some little weird photo of Maddie when she was a younger girl, he's like, I vaguely remember somebody telling me Maddie did something with a phone when she was little. I feel like he was preempting any blame. Like he's trying to say, oh, any photos you might find of Maddie on there, like it wasn't me that took them. She did that herself, and I vaguely remember somebody telling me. He was just so obscure about it. Stephan didn't even say, oh, Jennifer came to me and she found a photo of Maddie, or anyone. He was just so vague about it. I looked at that, I viewed that as Stephan's attempt to try and get ahead of, if this phone reset didn't work, and if these cops are coming at me, they found stuff that's weird on my phone, well then, here's my excuse for it. And basically, it's the same thing in a way his lawyers are attempting. As a defense attorney, you try everything to just throw the worst evidence out, so it's not working. And the state mentioned that. Look, they've had since last year. I haven't gotten this. I haven't gotten a witness list. I haven't gotten discovery. I haven't gotten, and it's been more than a year. So it's kind of like, what's going on here? We're not delaying this trial till 2027, like Rebecca first mentioned, We're not delaying it anymore. We're not kicking out the media. We're not suppressing, hopefully, he says tomorrow, whenever he comes up with his decision, we're not going to suppress all this evidence because the evidence is damning. With all of these horrible, the way they're described, horrible, untoward photos and videos with Stephan and Maddie in some of them, so he can be recognized, even like Jennifer asked, am I going to see her face in this photo? And they're like, yeah, look, we have the evidence. This isn't just some random photo of two people together. No, this is basically, they're trying to tell her, this is your boyfriend doing the worst to your daughter. All that totally needs to be kept in this trial so a jury can just see how horrific it is or hear how horrific it is. I don't know how many of those photos they would be shown or anything, but just to know the truth of what Maddie endured and to see the totality of it all, and then can really make a decision based off of the truth instead of all this, oh, kick this out because, Detective Tagler, I don't know if she followed complete protocol by doing this, and that, but hopefully they'll go over every single little time Stephan gave consent and keep that in. We'll see if that happens tomorrow. So far, I'm loving this judge and these laboratory reports. They'll all work together to paint the bigger picture along with all the witness testimony, all the lab reports, whatever DNA, whatever's found, whatever surveillance videos we haven't seen, going over the body cam again. Maybe we will hear some unredacted stuff, like completely unredacted. I know they've given us less redacted stuff we've gone over. More stuff we'll hear hopefully during hearings or during upcoming trial without delay so we can get through it and the truth can prevail. So let's close with 1 John 4:6. We who teach God's word are from God, energized by the Holy Spirit, and whoever knows God through personal experience listens to us and has a deeper understanding of Him. Whoever is not of God does not listen to us. By this we know without any doubt the spirit of truth motivated by God and the spirit of error motivated by Satan. So yeah, I like to think sometimes Stephan is motivated by the spirit of error. When we listen to all those jail calls and he's still hoping and praying he can just pray to God, deliverance and just be delivered without addressing the actual harm he is accused of doing to this child. And sometimes only if you have hard evidence, hard proof. Sometimes people will throw tons of conspiracy theories out there, and I don't necessarily mind conspiracy theories. I just like to see them based on some modicum of truth or fact. And that's why it's so important to have these photos and videos out in terms of in the court, not out in the public, of course, but out so we can see the pattern, we can see the years of abuse, the horrible treatment Maddie endured, so people can come to a proper understanding of what happened here. Let's really pray that happens. So Stephan really might not have a great 39th birthday until he truly comes to terms with what he did, how he hurt this child, how he gaslit her, manipulated her from just being a young girl. What Jennifer Soto's role was in that, we don't know. I'm praying they get evidence to just figure out the entire truth. Maybe they can bring charges at some point against her. Who knows? We'll have to let it play out. I'm grateful the judge is letting it play out at a good clip without too much delay. So anyway, I better close here now. Thanks for watching, and I'll just maybe try and summarize the motions hearing tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I can get done. Getting ready to go to dinner, so I got to get this video and try and edit it and get it up tonight for people who didn't see the hearing or haven't seen this report yet. But thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. More updates on this case and many others. Take care.